Hi there. So the topic that I'm going to cover today is the new product development process. And there's about 6 steps. And as new products are introduced to the current market, they go through this series from beginning to end, and they're pretty consistent with all market products. The example that I'm going to use here at the end is the introduction of facial cloth masks, mostly due to the rise of COVID-19. So for all new products, they begin life as an idea, whether that is from the consumers in the market, having a want or a need at that time. And this idea usually fills a hole for the current user in the market. And if it's a want, it may be one that they don't even know is there. During most of history, these ideas have come from specific departments within companies that they refer to as R&D or research and development, often with huge budgets to do so. However, more and more companies are using all of their employees for idea generation and even building in time and compensation into their corporate structure and their benefit packages. Ideas can also come from current customers and even suppliers who deal with them on a regular basis and encounter issues or customer complaints that are creating the need for these ideas. After the ideas are gathered, they will go through a screening or even a reduction process. And here is where the bad apples are weeded out, and those that are thought to possibly become successful are pushed to the top. Screening uses a pre-existing set of rules to say which product ideas will work the best in the company's current offerings and whether or not it will make a profit. These screening rules often apply a weight or a score to these different topics that put it at the top, middle, bottom of the list. After the screening comes the analysis, which is an even more detailed and in-depth look at the product idea as a whole. How much will it cost to make? How much can they sell it to get a profit for? Bring in all those ideas about price and profit that come from that, and there can be a multitude of ideas, and within this process, they can still be trying to weed them out. So you could be projecting these cost analysis graphs and charts for multiple ideas to see which ones come out on top. The ones that are going to have the greatest cost margin, the greatest benefit to consumers, and really in the end make the most profit for the business. Once an particular idea is chosen here as the most profitable and marketable and sure to change the world, it must then be developed and tested scientifically. Here is where the production of models and prototypes becomes very important to illustrate the future product to customers and to use it to show it to potential customers to try it out, to have that tangible touch and feel, to pit it or compare it against current existing ideas and products. And the testers are then usually asked questions determined by the company or the business, and the responses are used to calculate the particular advantage of that chosen product or idea. After the details of the physical product are narrowed down, it will enter into the last phase of commercialization. And here is where the product is finally made into on a grand scale. The idea here will be plugged into those parties that will sell it, either distributors or retailers, the places where this product will go to market and get into the hands of those who want or need it. This goes right along with the concept as well of advertising the product. Consumers need to be aware that the product now exists, but also the benefit to themselves of buying this product over another and how and where to purchase it or procure it. This is even more important in our global climate where these messages have to be sent worldwide, and companies need to be able to obtain the largest customer base possible to be able to stay competitive, especially with the advent of the internet and online shopping. And a great real-life example of that is the creation of cloth masks and the really domination of the marketplace due to COVID-19. There were many areas of the world pre-COVID that did use masks heavily before the outbreak, particularly East Asian countries with densely populated city centers. However, with the onset of COVID, it really brought about the extremely large need for availability of these products and to guard against disease and exposure. And with the medical field needing all of the surgical grade masks that they could get, and pretty much everything going towards hospitals and COVID clinics, and basically being redirected to the medical field, there was a sudden need, humongous need for at-home masks in the market. And people were buying them absolutely everywhere they could get their hands on them, from gas stations to Targets to specialty online retailers. The production of these cloth or fabric masks took on an especially quick life cycle all over the world. They were commercialized extremely quickly. And again, now you can find them absolutely everywhere. Consumers really fueled the need for the product, as well as the CDC and the World Health Organization and all of the health organizations around the world that changed their requirement guidelines due to COVID-19. So there wasn't as much of a testing period because it was deemed that these were immediately necessary even without the full knowledge of how they helped or did not help against the disease as a precautionary measure. And the manufacturers learned very quickly to produce different variations based not only on customer desire, including fit, fabric, price, but again, the regulations that were coming out from the CDC and other government and health organizations. And this was the real live version of live product development. And it was changing on a day-to-day basis. Companies were constantly having to keep up with the demand for masks in the marketplace. And as customers learned their individual preferences, and again, the medical guidelines changed constantly, analysis was ongoing. And this is a great real-life application of this topic that can also be used in my own life, in my own future work life. I think some really good ideas to take out of it are that looking at this process forces you to look at every step individually, and it really shows us that without careful attention to each section, there can be giant things that can be overlooked. When masks were first originally produced, a lot of them did not have options for filters, or they were made out of very uncomfortable fabric that was too hot, or some were made with vents that eventually the health and government organizations came out and said were actually counterproductive to the point of masks. Some didn't fit over the nose well, which again was counterproductive to their purpose. So each step has to be looked at, or your product will suffer, and it will show in your customer base. And this can be applied to more than just physical products, especially masks. This can really be used to take a step-by-step process approach with any new ideas or programs. My plan is to become an accountant, and using my knowledge of these steps will enable me to look at any potential money or software or technology decision within my career path, and whether I have my own office, whether I'm needing to outfit with a specific tool or software, or I'm working for a firm or a private entity where I am a part of the screening and testing process as well as analysis for any incoming new product or tool to the office. I can use these steps to focus on each stage of the process and provide valuable feedback at each one. Thank you.